Okay,
Okay,
great.
Andy.
We're live.
What?
After the
Let's see.
technical difficulties, we're now live.
Yes, we
Welcome to
are.
the Influencer Show, everybody.
Yes, and we finally got here. Okay, let's see. And like always, we start. Yes, we're live. Magic for you. Andy, are you there? You're freezing up a little bit on me. Are you there?
It's not exactly tea. I am, yeah.
It's like
Yeah, you're freezing up too, but I'm here. Yeah.
it's a little kind of slow. So I am thrilled you guys are here. Give us a like. Let us know you're here. Welcome. Welcome to the Influencer Show. My name is Barbie, your host and relationship strategist, alongside my dear friend, somewhere on this, I'm not sure which side, but he's the fabulous relationship coach, Mr. Andy W. Shepherd. I am curious, how is everyone doing since we last spoke? Can you tell me in the chat? You know what? I trust everyone is well. We're still masked here in California, which is the home of both Andy and Barbie. And our children are back at school, and some parents are getting a little vacation and all that good stuff. But I hope that you guys are doing well. We both are just simply here every Wednesday at 6 o'clock live, unless we have technical difficulties, just to inject just a little love in your veins. But this kind of injection lasts unlike others. Wink, wink. Right, Andy?
Absolutely.
So if you're here, give us a like. Feel free to share if something resonates with you. Please don't hesitate to share it with a dear friend. Do whatever is necessary to get the word out there. We certainly appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. We love, love, love seeing you. I just get a lot of energy from you guys. And, it is a blessing to us. It's so enjoyable. So to have you and just connect with you, I always look forward to these times. And today's topic is perspective. And I thought, we could all utilize the topic just because times are a little tough. And I thought about it quite deeply. And so I'm going to share my thoughts alongside my partner here. But I wanted to share a quote. I don't know if many of you know who Rumi is. He's a 13th century, he's a Persian poet. And I'm going to paraphrase here a little bit, but he said a quote about our task is not to seek so much love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within ourselves that built up against it. We sometimes have this perspective, if you will, that leads us to think that the other person may be a little crazy. And so that's what raises the topic of perspective. And I thought, you know what? I think about cameras. Perspective, if you know anything about film or camera, when you shoot, it's based on an angle or a setting, speed. And we have different perspectives when we look at the actual image. Or let's say here we're talking about relationships. For instance, I absolutely love sushi. I could eat it 24/7. I love it that much. But hey, some people you could say out in the day, hey, what they will ask, where would you like to go for dinner? And you say sushi. Sushi sounds great. And they'll go like, nah, I don't like sushi. Or they'll make believe that they like it when in reality they don't. So, everybody has their own perspective, in reality, it should be validated, because particularly if you're seeking a long-term relationship with this individual. So, and also stop and think about the babies, their persistence to want to walk, even after falling 1,000,001 times, though it seems, they keep on pushing through, they're persistent, their perspective is so different, although we have varying ages, it's just everybody's just so beautiful in their own way. And so I thought Andy and I could share a little bit today, kind of go in depth on gaining perspective with relationships. And I just wanted to share a few little tips that came to mind with you, and just to get you to look at another's point of view. Andy, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it's an important topic. I think that I think the biggest mistake I made at a younger age was I thought that everybody thought the same way that I did. I assumed that my thought process was something that was common to all other people. And so when they thought differently to me, I thought, well, they need educating, because, the way I'm thinking, it wasn't egotistical. It was just that I was convinced that I'd been brought up to think correctly. And so it was my job to get them to think the way that I did. And obviously from their side, they must be thinking, who the heck is this guy? What a big head he's got, that he is the only person that knows, how everything should be. And so as I grew older, I realized that different people have a different perspective on life, because they have different experiences, they have different upbringings. And as a coach, I realized that there are events that happen that usually traumatic, and you can go one way or the other. You come to some conclusion or another, and it's quite fascinating. And so this really made me start, as a coach, we look at the world of the person that we're talking to. It's like, what is your world? And as in, who are you? What experiences have you had? So that I can understand you better, and definitely not from a judgmental point of view. It's just like saying, hello, human being. Let me see if I can understand you so that I can be my best with you.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and it is so true. We tend to think that the way we view the world is the way the world really is. And when our partners disagree with us, it's easy to think that they're the ones who are misinformed. They don't know anything, or have a distorted perception of reality. I don't know about you, but I can honestly raise my hand and say that I have personally myself said, how in the world could they even see things so differently than me? And the truth is that our values and our beliefs really create our world. And it affects our opinions and behaviors along with our perspective and our relationships. But failing to understand that each individual is entitled to their own, point of view, is failing to appreciate what makes that one person who they really truly are. So I want you guys to think about it. You've got two people, they're very unique circumstances, with two unique backgrounds and two unique perspectives. And those perspectives they actually need to be respected and valued, not dismissed or ridiculed. And yeah, it's super huge. And I thought we kind of talk a little bit about what it requires from us. And it requires, and I was thinking about this, it requires a lot of self-discipline. And that's really difficult in a heat of a moment. And emotional mastery. And we've talked a little bit about emotional mastery, and You with what is really beautiful about this, you're able to find ways to understand your sweetheart's point of view. And the great thing, it's almost like it's a twofold. You will enrich your vision and reality and create a new level of intimacy in the relationship. And I think that is just so beautiful when you try to step outside of yourself and try to look at through that person's lens. And I'm going to give you some pointers at the very end, very simple and not often really thought through. But I wanted to ask Andy, what is your perspective in a relationship?
Yeah, I mean, this is so challenging because I came out with all sorts of beautiful stuff and it sounds really easy. But when you're in a relationship, you're really going to get your buttons pushed and it's going to really show you up as to who you are. And that's why I look at relationships as just this great opportunity to grow. And that doesn't mean that you should be over challenged. And there's times when I think that we can get into a relationship and we're not compatible in a positive way. And there's certain parts which are negative, and we really are not right for that person and we should choose a different partner. And so I'm not talking about that, but it's like you could have an absolute angel and the two of you, you could be an angel for her, but you're going to rub each other the wrong way and you're going to have differences of opinion. And it's the way I find with my wife, there's certain things that she can get extremely stubborn about. And I've discovered that she's something which is called a mismatcher. So if I turn around and say, hey, this is black, she'll say, no, 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 this is white. And it's like, no, it's black, it's white, And so it's never as extreme as that, but this does actually occur. And I do know people who are mismatchers, and they'll say the opposite, because they'll say with something that's black, they'll see that there's an overdominance of white specks in it, and that's what they're referring to. So it's all about what you say, perspective here. But when you're looking at it from this point of view of why it's black, this can get completely confusing. And so, like I say, there are certain things that she loves to be very precise with things. So I don't think, because she's Hispanic and this is her second language, I'm not sure she really understands the word about. So I'll say about in 1973, because I know that precision is important to her. And she'll say, no, it was 74. And it's like,
I
it's like
don't get it.
7 years.
Why do people argue like this? I know it's so crazy.
I know.
It's not until you have the void that you appreciate it more and you understand it. There's a level of clarity. And it's like, I am never going there again. It's like there's a maturity that comes to fruition that's just really beautiful. A lot of it, I believe it's affected by one's limiting belief and their needs and the rules that they've developed and that determine what they expect in a partnership. And if you're coming from a place of insecurity, this is huge. You may take a distrustful perspective, always assuming that your partner is cheating, who doesn't really love you. And that's so, so sad. And then you've got the other hand, if your perspective is one that it's self-love and confidence, you'll be more able to create a supportive and trusting relationship. And I think, gosh, that would be like incredible to have that. And we just have to be really open to other people's perspective, even when it's so difficult and you just get so, this person just doesn't get me. So, just as everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, we all have, we all bring different perspectives to our lives and are based on our previous experiences. So no one perspective is more valid than the other at all. And in fact, that the ability to change your perspective in communication and in relationships is a key element to that emotional intelligence we were talking about, or your ability just to empathize, because sometimes it requires a level of empathy and connecting with the other. And this type of intelligence doesn't just help you create fulfilling relationship. It's essential to advancing the spiritual, not only your spiritual sense, but we need it so desperately in our careers, in influencing others, in communicating with our little ones or just the youth, you name it. It's applicable in every sense. And who here doesn't want to be an incredible communicator? I think this is one of the reasons why I studied this in school at great depth. I love communication. I think we really need to do a little bit more of that. Andy?
No, 100%. And specifically about what you were saying about jealousy, it's like this is such a negative viewpoint. And a lot of the stuff that we're getting upset about is really, it definitely is saying something about us. Sometimes it's really obvious. And with the jealousy thing, then it's insecurity. It's not feeling good enough, maybe. And maybe it can be, well, I don't feel as if I'm lovable, or, a whole bunch. It could be the past where they've been cheated on lots of times. But everything is down to I've looked at myself when I've got upset with my wife and looked at the root cause, and I'm like going, wow, this is about me. This is not about her. And it's takes a lot to be able to understand it. And then it takes, it's layers and layers,
It
and
stacks
going
up.
deeper and
You're
deeper.
not careful.
Yeah.
Oh, you're clearly is not going to work. But I thought, we, to better understand perspective, our partner's perspective, I thought it'd be great if we talked about some specifics, keys to having that long lasting partnership that we all truly desire and are seeking for, the one that just kind of really comes natural. And I think, and he tapped on this a little while ago about being able to listen, learn to listen. It has a way of demonstrating time and time and time again their perspective in a relationship, what beliefs, thoughts, and feelings are most important to them. But you in turn have likely only just absorbed a mere fraction of this information. So if you truly want to deepen your understanding of your partner's subjective reality, you need to condition yourself and just kind of pull yourself out of that moment in time and listen. That's the number one step that we've got to take, I believe. Andy?
Yeah, there's a great quote which I wish I could remember in its entirety, by Einstein, and he said, I think there was 3 points, and 2 of them was, don't give your opinion, and the third one was keep your mouth shut.
That's
Be
so
patient.
true.
That's it. Be patient. Yeah. And
I know,
it's
you
like,
get a clap. You get a clap.
because I think, and I'm gradually realizing this. I love that Americans say, do you mind if I give you what my thoughts on this? And you ask for permission. The British, they jam it down your throat sideways. It's like they have an opinion. You have to sit down and listen to it, and yeah. And definitely patience is so, so, so important.
Yeah,
It can't be overestimated.
and to add to that listening, this is so, we don't really stop and think about this, but paying attention to what words mean to them. Even though you and your partner speak the same language, you may have different meanings, private meanings and interpretations that you associate, with different words and phrases, particularly when you come from a different country. And you kind of tapped on this a little bit. And this is the result of growing in different environments with different life experiences. So it's super, super important. I can't overemphasize just stop to listen and give it perspective of where they're coming, because it's so valid. They have a point, just like you have a point. Hey, sometimes you can just agree to disagree, and I love to agree to disagree, don't you? I know it sounds funny, but yeah. And I thought we talk a little bit about
Yes, Trish.
break unproductive patterns. This is a challenging one to overcome, particularly when there's a disagreement. It is easy for one or both to slip into that subconscious pattern, like denial, like we were talking about earlier, and where they just refuse to believe that what you're saying is true. You know, so, and some tend to tap into the arsenal of the weapon to help validate their point. They will either condemn you as their partner, ignore you, demean you, threaten you. It's sad, but it's something that happens. I've heard it one too many times. In fact, just most recently. What are your thoughts about that, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, I love I that I think that the best way to do it is two ways. One is like don't go there, and if you found that you have gone there, because you know what I know what my trigger points are for my wife, and sometimes she doesn't pay attention to what my trigger points are, and so she'll do them, and so I'm not going to get upset with that because I'm with her. I want to stay with her. There's no other woman I want to be with. I'm married. I love her. That's it. So I've got to deal with it. And you know, what I love is that there's something that I learned from Tony Robbins. It's probably NLP, and it's called basically it's a pattern interrupt. And so there's a pattern going on, and you interrupt it. And so one of them is if you're thinking something wrong, then just go around the room and go do something just really, really stupid, which is just going to completely take your mind off whatever you're doing. And this is what she does, to not exactly like that, but she'll go da 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 when I'm talking, when I'm saying something wrong, and it just interrupts the pattern, and then that's we just laugh, and then we go and talk about something else. And but she lets me do the same to her, so she's going into one of her things and going off at a tangent and getting upset and blah, 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 and I just go da, 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 and she just stops, and we just both start laughing. So if you can find a way to pattern interrupt, and doesn't matter what it is, it needs to be very silly and very embarrassing, you know. So if you see, I feel as if I'm red in the face because that was really embarrassing doing that live on Facebook. But it really works. Have you ever tried that, Barbie? Anything like that?
I have.
Maybe you don't want to admit to
I've
it.
actually practiced that quite often with my own child, just to get her to snap
Yeah.
instantaneously in the moment, you know, when I can't get her attention. And she's one that has ADHD, so she doesn't really manifest it. Her inability to stay focused, it's what becomes the problem with her. So sometimes it's like, rather than shake her, you just radically do something just so abrupt, like I can just take off, just start dancing. I mean, and she lightens up, you know, I'm just crazy that way. But yes, absolutely. I believe that pattern interruption just changes the tone and changes the spirit in which things are being done. And you guys are it's okay to be silly, you know? I love being silly. That's how come I'm always dancing and singing. And I'm so appreciative that you guys are willing to put up with me. But I thought also that there's some really important questions, as I addressed earlier, that we can consider. And rather than tell our partner only a portion of the perspective in your relationship that is acceptable, and adding insult or injury like we just talked about, and just focus on helping your partner step out of their pain. There's a lot of people that have been raised with a lot of pain. So going back to what I said previously, I think it's important that we step into ourselves and be empathetic. You know, try putting yourself in their emotional state. And if you know that there's a history, because we all have a history, be sensitive to it. You know, consider the differences actually as an opportunity for us to learn more about them. And so when they're like coming at us, you know, instead ask yourself, what is it that you're seeing that I am not? What is it? You know, it's almost like you've got to do that interruption immediately. Just ask yourself, don't, as opposed to going in there and just battling it out with a sword, you know? And then I thought, you know what? I have felt this. I have been in a heated moment and I thought to myself, boy, what experience have you had in your past that has led you to think like this, to be this way? I don't vocalize it. I just think it to myself, and that's where the empathy comes in. And then just stop and think of how you can take that opportunity and just turn it to the for the better. Because ultimately, if you say or declare that you love someone, we should really embody that in our actions, whether they're having a good day or a bad day. So, you know, when we become receptive to our own partner's pain, you know, there's that magical dance that just happens. Just we feel more understood, safer, secure, and it's no longer becomes challenging. And the more secure someone feels, we know this in a relationship, the more they're willing to open up. And we want to know everything about our partner, don't we? Hey, if you're here in the chat, tell me, and I want to hear what you've got to say. You know, I didn't address this earlier. I know we're just sitting here giving you a little insight, but we hope that you'll interact with us because this is really important and this is applicable in any sense. I don't know what time you came in our discussion, but we're talking about perspectives. And I know I'm like sitting here interrupting our thought. I'm so sorry, Andy. I'm thinking about those who may have tuned in a little bit later. And the importance of being empathetic and trying to step outside of ourselves to understand that the way that others may be interacting with us has a deeper meaning. And it's up to us, the ones who declare that we love them, to try to understand and kind of figure for ourselves the better route to take in interacting with them or the better way to communicate with them. But I thought that is super, super important. Any comments about that, Andy? I'm sorry, I just kind of wanted to catch up to those who just had tuned in.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, I think for me, I love what you're saying. Definitely, you know, we need to be patient and understanding of the other person. And I do it from the perspective of I'm not perfect. If my wife can put up with me, I need to put up with her, you know, because we're all human.
Mm-hmm.
When I studied Buddhism, it's all about Buddhism is really the study to create a pure mind. That's what it is. So all the time we're purifying our mind and getting to a higher level, if you like, and just letting go of the stuff that's not really useful to us. So I understand this process. It's, you know, if that's the ultimate gain, if you're going to the pure mind, then we're all having impure minds. But I'm not talking, I'm just talking about,
right.
In this context, it's not about purity. It's all about stuff that's, you know, kind of disturbing the other person.
Another day.
Yeah. This is about disturbing the other person's peace by their actions or their thoughts or their comments. So we need to be patient with that because they have to be patient with us. So let's give back what they're giving to us.
Absolutely.
And that really, really, really helped me. Sorry.
No, I was saying, I was agreeing with you. And I think oftentimes when we're in the middle of that mucky relationship, kind of like we don't know what to do, we sometimes tend to gravitate towards our friends to find solace or to rationalize things. But the reality is, if you truly are committed to your relationship, please put your relationship first. I understand you always have a choice. And you can resolve conflict by choosing to put your relationship first. First and foremost, I totally believe that. And through your efforts, you will bridge that divide between you and them. And it changes. Your total views just change altogether. And you're strengthening and the connection that you're making, it just introduces new dynamics of trust where your partner feels that they will be accepted and understood no matter how far their feelings of belief deviate from your own. And I know you will at some point encounter a specific type of the impossible. There's real heated moments, but those challenging times present the most beautiful room, if you will, of personal growth. And it's so important to set our egos aside, and to focus on putting your partner first, and tuning away from all of that nasty anger and fear and chasing to bring love and security into your relationship. We all need to be happy and have a healthy relationship, particular around children. And we know it's never a relationship is like this. It's never a straight line, it's and it's challenging, but it's really beautiful how we discover so much about ourselves and our partners, and it's vital, and it just gives us light. That's just how I feel about it. That's how come I'm so passionate about love and relationships, and I deal with people that are going through a dissolution, divorce, however you want to call it. And it just breaks my heart. And my first question that I always ask is this something that you truly want? Is it salvageable? Because there's always ways to look at things differently and to set forth good efforts on our part to really nurse and nurture and love unconditionally, is the word, the way we should, each and everybody out there. Just this friction that's going around is just so yucky, and I'm just all about love. I don't know if you have any last minute thoughts, but Andy.
Love is the answer, 100%. The more and more I understand what love is, and we only have one word, but it has so many meanings. In other languages, there are multiple words for love. Unfortunately, we have one, but it is deep. When you truly understand what the word love means, everything changes. Because love can be, opening a door to somebody. It means considering another person. Even the smallest actions are an act of love. It's essential. When we come from that place of serving others, of being selfless, acts of love, then things can start running more smoothly in relationships and everything.
I always like to say it's better to love than not have loved at all.
Mm-hmm.
The experiences are really enlightening to you, and I understand if the relationship doesn't work with that one individual that you may have been with, things happen, but it sure does make you a better individual for the next relationship. Sometimes we just have to dig deep down to really bring the roots of our thinking and put everything in perspective. But I think we may have gone a little over time, but we're just here delivering you love, and we just want you to have it, an abundance of it. And if you wish to connect with me specifically, you can type my name now that I have my website. It's barbielativisi.com. And from there, it will guide you to whichever path you choose. I'd love to connect with you or a friend of yours if you think that I may be able to serve them. And what I do today, truly, truly comes from the heart. And I feel honored to be entrusted to serve those struggling, because I once had a really difficult time, and I lived and learned. And so I have taken this opportunity during this pandemic to to do some self-evaluation and learn and get coaching, and it's just been so magical. But enough about me, Andy. Tell them how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah, if you go to andythecoach.com, actually there you can find, the basis for a great relationship. So I take you through a free video where you can discover what it is that you truly need and want from a relationship and what the deal breakers are, why this is important, and just go through a real process. You've thought about it, but keeping it in your head it is one thing, but writing it down, journaling it, truly contemplating it is another. And also there's a bonus video there which can really get you in the right direction for finding that person that you deserve and want and desire.
You're so sweet.
Thank you, Barbie.
100%. You're on fire. And if you're sitting in, we love you. You know that we love you. It's a cute little thing. I just love it. Yeah. So we always like to close with our birthdays, and here we go. You guys may know this one. Happy birthday to ya. Do you know this one? Happy birthday to ya. Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
This is great.
It's awesome.
We have 11 birthdays, and this one is sleeping, so I won't wake her up, I don't think. Nonetheless, I want to wish my wonderful and beautiful 11 friends a happy, happy birthday. We've got Donna Prisby Chambers, Donald Wilson, Sandra Crosby, Joel Polgabria, Gary Horn, Phil Williams, Jim Worthington, Tim West, Carrie Miller, Jimbo Dunn, and James Hoover. Sending you lots of love. If I had a cake, I'd give you a cake, but I'm wishing you all a beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back a week from today at precisely 6 o'clock Pacific. And we don't know what the topic is, but I always do ads right before to make you aware. And thank you again for tuning in. We don't take your time lightly, and we are most gracious for that time. So until then, we'll see you guys on the bright side. Sending you guys lots of love. Mwah.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye.